Assalamu alaikum. Sulaiman Rahim here, Messenger of the Covenant, breaker of the 7 seals. Sisters and brothers, do I have a message for you today? Some of you are going to be shocked by it, maybe even confused. I'm not sure why you would be, but I'm sure some of you may be. Those who've been paying attention. If you have been paying attention, I'm surprised that no one even asked me about these things that I'm going to talk about. I'm always talking about pressure, but very seldom do I talk about its opposite, tension. Pressure is only 180 degrees. Tension is 180 degrees. 360 degrees altogether. I tell you, everything has 360 degrees. 360 degrees of knowledge. 360 degrees, right, for male and female. 360 degrees. Quran says everything comes in pairs. Every action has an opposite but equal reaction. Two sides of the equation. So the opposite of pressure is tension. Pressure pushes things, tension pulls things apart. But I'll explain to you that the universe contracts and expands. So when it's in the expansion phase and the tension phase, when it expands in the tension phase, but when it's contracting, it's pressure phase, and now we're in the pressure phase. We're in the pressure phase right now. And we'll be in the pressure phase for the next 72 trillion years. And because of sacrifice that our people, the tribe of Shabazz, no other tribe, not even the tribe of Levites, tribe of Shabazz made, right? That we're able to make that transition into the positive contraction. And I'm going to try to explain to you as clearly as I possibly can what's going on here. Now I talked to you about the Crescent Wars, right? It has to do with the females, right? Talk about the Fire War in the beginning. In the beginning, hold on, brothers and sisters. No. Someone trying to contact me, so let me respond this quickly. What was that all about? See, when the universe was totally contracted, maximum pressure, and we were able to withstand that. And then we got to this point where maximum attraction, right? That means universe, the tension is greatest ever. Pull things apart. Now this is something very complicated I'm going to talk about, brothers and sisters. It probably deserves much more time and devoted to this subject. I'm not going to do it today. I'm not going to do it today. But the first God, he was the God of tension. What does that mean? Because he's the one that caused the universe to expand. So when I've been telling you that pressure cannot be defeated by low pressure. It's impossible. That's only when the universe is contracting. It's totally opposite when the universe is expanding. Because when the universe is expanding, lower pressure defeats high pressure every time. What? Hold on. Who have we been defeated by for the last 6,000 years? Lower pressure. It lowered our pressure. But there, the pressure was maximum, and it started spreading, the pressure diminished. And that's why the fire angels tried to stop the God, right? They were the jinn at the time. They did not want the universe to expand because that would mean they become weaker. Tension. Because they expand big tension, they have less energy. They become weaker. They did not want that. They tried to stop causing the universe to expand. So he want to stay, and he wiped them out, right? Because there's fire angels. Everyone was fire at that time. Like it says, you made us a fire. See, because they was talking about the jinn this time, they was talking about the jinn at that time. They were the jinn, they was the resistors. They did not want the universe to expand. They said, we got it great. You're going to make us weaker by doing this. Okay? But the universe expands to pull things apart. And if they had stayed in the condition they were, they've been torn apart because they could not withstand that tension. The higher pressure, but tension pulls things apart. And if you higher pressure, right, it's like, when you put high pressure and lower pressure expands. Why? Because lower pressure submits to it. Whereas the other way of looking at it is the lower pressure is pulling it apart. If it keeps expanding, it's going to come apart. It's going to come apart. Because when we separate the male, the gender, that didn't make us stronger, it made us weaker. Because now you have that possibility of the conflict between the two, which we're witnessing for the last 6,000 years. But when they was unified, there was no conflict. And if conflict reaches height in the last 6,000 years, here the male against the female. We are putting the female down. Because we was in the phase of tension. And that's why we had to bring all the animals, all the things you see in creation came out of us. We had to do that. Because we had to keep on diminishing ourselves in order, because in other words, the higher pressure you are, right, and the tension's pulling you, the more stress is going to be on you. So you pull and then you break apart and then it's less. I explained that. I just never explained it, tell you exactly. I explained how it's like a rubber band. I say you pull on it, tension, and this piece break off and then rocks again. Well, that was tearing the rubber band apart. It wasn't helping the rubber band, it was tearing it apart. So the rubber band gave up that part of itself so they can relax again. So they'll be dissatisfied again. Give another part of itself, bigger part, until we end up taking out the devils from us. There's the lowest tension, right? The most worst tension that we ever had experienced. That's because, but we had to get up that part, right? But the thing is, now if we had taken just this way situation is, in order you take these things out, but you still have to maintain the root. Because you start pulling things back together, you have to have something added back to. You have to have the foundation and put it back to. If you destroy the foundation, then you ain't got nothing to put it back to. And that's the sacrifice we made by going to Holocaust, because we could diminish ourselves and made ourselves all Caucasians. And we witnessed some age deprivation. But we never got back again, because we had the material to get back to the original again. We made that sacrifice. The Levites didn't make it. The Hindus didn't make it. We made that sacrifice. You understand? We made that sacrifice, so therefore, so we could take and continue on forever as we have always done. Because we had took it and reduced ourselves. We took them out of us, but we reduced ourselves to that level that we could never bring ourselves back. We had to have material, that original material, to add back to. But as we move, see, because the tension was pulling us, but now as we go back, the pressure increases. We cannot stay in this form because the pressure is greater than we can even withstand in this form. We cannot stay in this form we are right now. As we stay in this form, in the form we are right now, maybe 1,000 years, 10,000, 100,000 years, maybe million years, and then we have to increase, strengthen our form. We'll start taking things back into us. Right? We'll start, that real move is taken back to us. See, the first thing we have to get rid of is the devils. See? When we take some of that nature back into us, that's what the shield's all about. And then we take more and more. And we change our form. We become stronger and stronger until we get back like we were in the beginning, when being awesome, powerful, strong, to withstand the power of the total universe. We cannot stand that pressure in the form we are. Cannot do it. That's the two sides of creation. See? But Suleiman, it said he'll be the God of pressure, increasing pressure, and the low pressure will be resisting him. In the other case, it was the other case around. High pressure was resisting the God at that time because he knew he had to keep expanding, right, in order to survive. Because put another way, as the universe expanding, right, it would pull us apart. We could not maintain that form that we were back there, and the angels wanted to maintain that form. He knew it couldn't be. And they tried to stop him, so they get rid of him, because it could not maintain that form because the tension would be too great. It would just pull him apart, and we cannot withstand this form because the pressure is going to come so great that it will crush us. So we have to increase our form, our structure. But this is a critical time in history right here because you have to have the basic structure to add on to. And if we had done like everyone else, all the tribes, then that original nature would have been lost forever. Because how are you going to get it back? Once it's at the root of it is gone. If the root is gone, you cannot get it back. And so that was the sacrifice we made by holding on to the original, but it put us in terrible tension. Remember, at that time, the last 6,000 years, the universe at a maximum tension. So by us resisting and say, no, we're going to hold on, then we was literally being pulled apart. And look, most of our nation is half a nation turned to demons. There's only a few of us left. There's only 17 million of us left. After all these billions and billions, there's only 17 million left, and most left, a lot of us ain't going to make it. Because we was too weakened by the tension. We was just too weakened by it. By a 6,000 year period, some is just not going to recover. So it's two sides of the universe. Now, lower pressure cannot defeat higher pressure, cannot do it. But on the other side, the high pressure could not defeat lower pressure because lower pressure was winning for the last 6,000 years. They got stronger, stronger, stronger. We got weaker, weaker, weaker. It was just the opposite. I'm surprised no one even asked me about that because it's so obvious. I talk about it, I just never tell you directly what I'm telling you now. I told you tension was the creation process. That should tell you right there. If tension is the creation process, that means what was the primary power? Tension. That's the opposite pressure. That's lower pressure. Tension is lower pressure. But you have to worry about that now. You have to worry about that for 72 trillion years from now. Because now we're on the other side of it. And now we're getting stronger and stronger and stronger. Because the pressure is going to destroy the lower pressure. On the beginning, right, is the lower pressure that destroyed the greater pressure. Destroyed the fire angels. There's righteous beings and everything else, but they resisted. They did not want to submit to the lower pressure. They didn't want to submit to it, the tension. So it was destroyed because of it. And these lower pressure, they don't want to submit to the higher pressure. The devils, they don't want to submit to us. They don't want to submit to higher pressure. Now it's our time. So we had to submit to them, but now it's reversed. See, we came to that point at 0 on one side just before 1860s. We're submit to them, so submit to Adam. Because there was lower pressure. And lower pressure, that was still the time of lower pressure, time of tension. But then after that, it's reversed. And now it's a time of pressure. And now they're supposed to submit to us and they don't want to. And they're doing everything they can to stop higher pressure. See, because they're lower pressure angels. Just like the fire angels were higher pressure angels. They're lower pressure angels and they're trying to stop the universe contracting. They want to keep it like it is. I'm trying to make it simple if you understand it, brothers and sisters. It wasn't even necessary to talk about the other side because we have to talk about the other side for 72 trillion years. But you need to have a full understanding of full thorough knowledge of self, full understanding how the universe works. Because if you got to tell people that you are a prophet or whatever, and Islam is mathematics, and mathematics Islam, but you don't know the mathematics, and what are you talking about? Farrakhan talking about Islam is mathematics, Islam, they don't know any mathematics. And they don't definitely know what I just told you. You never heard this before. So it's two sides of the universe. Now we're on the positive side. That's pressure increasing. For 72 trillion years we're on the negative side. But we use that to bring creation, to bring this creation you see. And we kept adjusting ourselves to stay at peace with instability creation. So when there's a tension build, right, we lower our structure. So the tension won't bother us, but that means it brought something out of us. Everything you see used to be in us. Not just energy out there, but all life, all that was in us. And now we got to bring it back in. How do you do that? That's another story altogether. Bring it back in. To be strong, because it's a perfect circle. So we had to get back to where we were in the beginning of the creation. 72 trillion years from now. But we cannot maintain this form. And that gets back to New Jerusalem. See? Because now that we're moving in a positive direction, we're still 6,000 years deep into the hole. Now we got to dig back out of the hole, right, to get back to our basic civilization, which is gold, and then move on from there. So that means we have to have a civilization not all gold, right? But it's still precious. It's made of precious metal, gold and silver, but also made of iron, which is strong. That's what said, the Master Muhammad made God, right? The shield, right? They was he ruled the world, ruled the nations with a rod of iron, and we know they're the rod of iron. He'd be tough, hard. Iron's tough, hard, and stiff. Doesn't bend, right? But he rules in truth and righteousness. So he's not going to bend. All you people think he's going to bend when he show up. Oh boy, you got a mistake. Farrakhan and all those boys over there, they got another thought coming. Iron. And like Muhammad tried to warn you about Master Muhammad. Even in the injury it tells you, right? And it tells you, in the so-called Old Testament, it tells you he used to get mad at Moses. And he got really mad at Moses just for asking about having somebody like Farrakhan. That's when he was anointed. You better read that again. You don't need him. I put my words in your mouth. You don't need him. So he got furious with Moses. Elijah just asking for him. So he wasn't anointed by anybody. He got this thing out to him. He's directly from the Messiah and the Christ. Only thing he's directly from is the ass of a donkey. He's through. He just don't know it yet. He's through. He's like an egg dropped off a Empire State Building. You just know it. You don't just realize it's already busted. It's just not time to hit the damn ground. He's through. And we're really going to hit hard. Okay. So I want you to understand that, brothers and sisters. Maybe I have a presentation going into more detail, but basically you should understand the process. When the universe is spinning, right? Lower pressure defeated higher pressure. We was defeated for the last 6,000 years. We was higher pressure, but that's right there. It's right in front of you. But now, it's our time. After 6, now the pressure is increasing. And the lower pressure, right, cannot defeat it. Every day the lower pressure gets weaker and weaker and weaker, and higher pressure gets stronger and stronger and stronger. That's what we're seeing right now. At some point, it just breaks. Put enough pressure on something like an egg or something. At some point, you put just hold it. You put pressure on the egg. You start just pressing on it, and it stay hold for a minute, depending on how strong you are. Then it'll crack. And that's what's happening here. So I'm giving you a thorough knowledge, complete knowledge. That knowledge is not necessary, that part, because you don't have to deal with it for 72 trillion years. But it makes you understand better at this side. I'm talking about the other side. Thorough knowledge. 360 degrees. Okay. The opposite. Every action has the opposite equal reaction. That's the opposite. Equal, same, but it's just the opposite. Where tension prevailed over pressure. Tension is lower pressure. Tension prevail. Now pressure will prevail over lower pressure. Pressure will prevail over tension. Because that's what happened. For the last, lower pressure minds prevailed over our minds for the last 50,000 years. We kept going down and down, the pressure increased. But by us holding on to that original nature, we suffered most. The other people, they let go, and that means they suffered less. But we held on to it. We saved our nation because we had let go and we broke down like all other nations, then that original seed would have been lost. You can't reproduce it from lower seed. You can't, a devil cannot produce a original person if possible. We lost it. If we hold on. So we paid the price to hold on to this creation, to our nature. By holding on to it, we suffered. The ones others let go because remember, the ones that followed Dr. Shabazz, Dr. Yaqub, right? He told them, I'm going to put you on top of civilization if you listen to me. And they gave up their nature. And they can't return. It's impossible. We can go after them, but we just go after them, their skin tone and everything, but we can't graft their nature back in. Can't do it. You understand, brothers and sisters? So that's a sacrifice you made. So that's why you inherited the universe for the next 72 trillion years. That sacrifice you made by holding on to your original nature. The Levites didn't do that. They held on to some of it, not all of it. They broke down a little bit. Hindus broke down a lot. Since some of them have left the planet, they can never return back to the planet, this earth again. They gave so much of their nature. There's those that ran over here. They're almost all gone too. Everybody had a plan. They were trying to avoid angel deprivation, right? But Dr. Shabbat says, no, we're going to deal with it head on. We're going to maintain, because now we'll be the rulers for the next 73 years. Okay? We turn everything to Master Muhammad because he's made God the structure lower, but still, originally, he still had a nature there, half the nature. But 6,000 years from now, he's totally back in charge again. Okay? Full nature. And then we'll start bringing things back into us that we took out from us over 73 years. All the things you said, because we get back, it won't be the animals or anything, we get back to the beginning again, because all of nature is back at us. We'll be huge creatures, powerful creatures, huge. Bigger than elephants, bigger than whales, really big, ferocious beings. I'm not saying ferocious or animal-like, I'm talking we'll be powerful. Because all that power and energy you see out in the animal world, we gave up all of that. And it's weaker, because the tension was increasing greater and greater, so we could survive, right? And still maintain control of our creation. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. On that note, I got a few things I want to say, but I wanted to say that first. So I'm going to take me a minute break here, brothers and sisters. I got to give me something for my my voice, and I'll be right back in a second. Let's see here. Back, brothers and sisters. Okay, I have a few things I want to talk about other than I want to talk about the sign of Jonah, a little more about that. As I've been saying, brothers and sisters, there's a lot that I haven't talked to you about. It's only me. I'm going 24/7, 365, or 30 years. There's a lot about the angel I have not talked to you about. A lot about the sealed and unsealed Bible I have not talked to you about. Like I said, as far as the Bible itself, I've only had time to study about 1/3 of it. Because at some point I had to stop and start trying to give information out. Otherwise, I've been another 30 years just studying that. A lot about mathematics I haven't talked to you about. A lot about the creation I haven't talked to you about. A lot. I'm going 24/7, just me. Maybe I'll ignite a few stars out there, and they'll be able to start shining, right? Some light to you. But right now, most of you just got moons. They just reflect what I'm saying. But you're going to get 144,000 stars in a minute. So let's move on, brothers. I hope you understand what I was trying to explain to you. Like I said, 360 degrees everything. So I've been giving you 180 degrees of the creation. I just gave the other 180 degrees, the opposite. The female side, if you want to look at that way. The expansion and the contraction. The female, both of us have opposite poles, but that's of course attract each other. But then some of us take the idea that, our pole is the only pole, so we walk around 180 degrees in ignorance. See? 180 degrees in ignorance. Because we don't want to hear the other point of view. You got females like that too. They don't want to hear the male point of view. They don't want to hear it. Especially when it comes to children. And the male don't want to hear the female point of view. So they walk 180 degrees in ignorance. Keep on, brothers and sisters. You want to walk around with your ass hanging half out, that's up to you. My job is to get 180 degrees. And most of you not even deal with 180 degrees. My job is to get 360 degrees. I think that's what I said. Most of you not even deal with 180 degrees. The female perspective is a valid perspective. You don't understand, you don't like it. I know I don't. Right? Because I ain't coming from the heart zone, I'm coming from the mind zone. From the heart zone, I don't like it. First, man, what you know, is that logical? But you do have a heart and you have a mind, don't you? And you're going to tell me, brothers out there, that you only deal with what's logical? You don't, your heart doesn't come into the picture anyway, but yet still you're going to ignore the sisters who more inclined to the heart, but you pay attention to your heart, but hey, somehow what they say don't mean anything. When you get hot, mad, and everything is right, the mind goes away and the heart. See, brothers and sisters, I'm talking to both brothers and the sisters. Sisters, I don't hear that. See? And there's some right and wrong in all of it, but the point is, it's 360 degrees. Okay? And that's why I have to come from here. I have to ignore my heart, because I know from here, I know it's 360 degrees. I have to listen to what they're saying. I encourage them to say. I encourage them to talk. I don't want to interrupt them. I don't like it a lot of times because I don't understand it. Because how can I understand? How can I understand what a female thinks? How am I going to understand that? We're told there's going to be an equivalent female scientist going to rise, right, for the females. Explain the universe as I'm explaining it from a female perspective, because I'm explaining from a male perspective. I can't explain it from a female perspective. There's no way it's possible. I can try from the mathematical side of it, but that's only from the mathematical side. What about the emotional side? I can't do it, but that's the emotional side here. Most sides, how much of your life is emotional anyway? You deal with your children totally logically, or you deal with emotionally? You deal with your spouse totally logically, or do it emotionally? Was you reproducing? You act reproducing. Was that from an emotional point of view, or was it from a mental point of view? Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. It's difficult, but once you reconcile this, then you can reconcile this. And once we get home, right, it'll be less of a problem. Because some of us are all this or all this. There can be a balance. See? Because you don't want to teach the sisters anything. See, over there, I'm going to say this and then move on, brothers and sisters. You know, over there in Sunni land, in Jinn land, they don't want to teach us anything. They want to keep on an emotional level. Then they want to hear what they have to say. You know, they don't want them to recite the Quran over there. Now, they may not understand reciting the Quran from the mathematical point of view, like I'm going to tell you, but they do know that there's a benefit from doing it because they do it and they see it makes them stronger or whatever. They may not understand the mathematics behind it, but they don't want me to do it because then she comes too hard to handle. She's too difficult to handle. See? Because you come fearless. And they don't want to fearless. They want to keep ignorant. All that's going away, brothers and sisters. Anyway, let's move on, brothers and sisters. Okay, the sign of Jonah. Now, I'm going to go over that again because I talked about it yesterday. I'm going to talk about it again. Let me talk about it some more. Because this is what the sign, this is the sign. This is the point. Because not only, it said, this only sign be given to this wicked generation. See, who's giving the sign? See, who's giving the sign? The sign will be the sign of Jonah. So it must be either Jonah or some activity that Jonah is involved in. But they refer to Son of Man, Jonah as Son of Man. It said, as Jonah was Son of Man, so they make them equivalent. But Farrakhan does talk about these things. He claimed a Son of Man. So some either directly relate to him or some activity he's involved in, that's the only sign be given to them. So it's coming from him or something that he's involved in. But that's not the only sign be given to the rest of us. Only sign we get many signs. I've given you a lot of signs already. You see signs all around you, those eyes are opening. The only sign they're going to get. And it says they was asking for the sign. It wasn't like they was being forcing them. They was asking, I want a sign. Why do they want a sign? Why is this wicked generation want a sign? The only sign they would want is a sign that the reason they want the sign because that's a sign of their destruction. They knew it wasn't going to be a sign of their salvation. It's a sign of their destruction. They want to know what it is. Man, if you're going if something will happen, you like to know, man, what's going to happen? Tell me what's going to go down so you can try to prepare for it, do something. That's what you want to know for. That's what they want to know. This wicked generation want to know, because that's the sign they want to know, right? Okay, apparently I'm getting some issues. My live, but it doesn't a problem. I have a backup. Right, so if the live doesn't come through clearly, right, I'll just upload my recording. Or they come at me all kinds of ways, brothers and sisters. I don't worry about these people. But that sign, the reason why they want a sign because they know a sign of their pending destruction. So they know what to do because they plan to do something, right? To salvage themselves or whatever. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. See, but that sign is also a sign that the God's looking for. Because you understand the nature of what is going on, right? He's delivering us at a time of unprecedented trouble, but he can't deliver us if we ain't ready to be delivered. You can't pull the stuff out of the oven unless it's ready. It's totally prepared, cooked and everything. And the problem is we have to be united. That's why I was talking about the four winds, right? They had to be united, and that's the sign of Jonah. Of course, the sign of Jonah. The sign of Jonah, right, is that Nineveh. See, they don't even know who Nineveh is. Nineveh repents. That means they come together. Let me just try to explain this as clear as possible, brothers and sisters. Elijah Muhammad brought them together, but he didn't really bring them totally together, right? Because they was mixed in with demons. So he didn't bring them 100% together. So that wasn't a sign of our unity, because there was demons mixed in. So that wouldn't be a sign of our unity. A partial unity with demons. That's why the man in Mark, right? He had broke the chains. He wasn't being able to control by them, by the devils, but he was still, right, infused with demons. So he had broke control of the devils, but he was still infused, right, with demons. So it wasn't a sign of our coming together yet, because a sign of our coming together will happen when the four winds blow. That's when when you understand the whole story, I'm not going into it, about Jonah, is that's the time that Nineveh repents. Because he pulls up, said sackcloth. You have to understand, once you understand the nature of Islam, is that, and that if you understand that, I'm going to say it, I know most of you don't understand it, but those that understand and enjoy it at all, know that's the time the Shia rises up, and they're right under. See, when the war starts. See, or when the war is over, actually, because they're defeated. See? And they're sitting in the ashes. Who is the ashes? The ones that are defeated. Gog and Magog. So when you understand the angel, that's it. Understand the angel, key to understand these things, because now he's sitting on the sackcloth, right? The sackcloth, he pulls sackcloth up, and he's sitting in ashes. That's Magog, right? Because they would be where, at that point, and that's when the four winds blow. That's unity. That means black folks are coming together, because it said the four winds had to happen before they came together, have energy to come together. See, Suleiman, that's his job, to make sure they get quality energy, because they're going to get the energy, but they're going to get the energy to follow the American dream. That's not going to cause unity, because they don't understand it. So, because hey, we went to 400 years, man. We stuck 400 years, man. Now it's time to enjoy it, man. We should have a car, man. We should have a home, man. I mean, what the hell? We 400 years, man. We should have all this stuff. See, that's the idea they want you to have. To invest in their future, to invest in their American dream. Now, Suleiman has to make sure you get the right energy, the right food, as Master Mama talked about, being fed the right food, right? So use the energy to come together. Not to go after the American dream. That he's going 24/7, make sure the energy out there, right? To get that quality of energy. Because remember, I keep talking about quality, the quality of energy. Because the energy, if that he wasn't doing it, energy would have it just, you get more money, you get more things. And you get an American dream, even though it's failing all around you. So you have to tell you, no, invest your money into promised land that you didn't know about it. Invest your money in your people. See, so therefore, now you come together, and that message is being over 30 years been telling you. You got it from Elijah Muhammad also, telling you from the Levites, but Levites they failed. Was taken down by the demons. So you only got Suleiman 30 years investing you. This information investing. And you think, oh, it's not. No, it's happening. You may not realize it's happening. That's why he had to give his life to do this, make that happen. Hope you understand that, brothers and sisters. Very important point. See? So we have to have the energy, and the energy, we're getting the energy, right? With the time, I show you every 50 years, I try to put it, I give you all these pieces, brothers and sisters. Can you put the puzzle together? Possibly every 50 years, now the energy is percolating up. And we're going to start feeling it in a minute, right? And that's going to be enough energy, because look what the energy did in the 60s. It caused black folks to rise, the demons as well as the saints. What happened 50 years before that? What happened 50 years before that? So now this is enough to bring us together. Unify our hearts. Understand? What's going on here, brothers and sisters? Am I still having problems with this? No, I guess not. I don't know. Anyway, you understand, brothers and sisters? So, they wanted a sign to know when that was going to happen. Master Muhammad knows the sign. No, that's the time he has to make his move, because he makes move before that. We'd be all scattered all over the place, hospital united, and then we'd be easily picked off. Because their plan is, once they see it happen, right, is to get rid of us. Because if we unite, that's destruction for them. Master Muhammad said, our unity is greater than a time bomb. They know that'd be destruction. If we unite, that'd be destruction. That's why they don't want that to happen. If you read Exodus, it says they have to keep us scattered, broken up, because if we unite, right, and war breaks out, we'll side with their enemies and fight against them and flee the country. I mean, what's going to tell you, brothers? We're going out of here, but they're afraid that we're going to turn against them and destroy them before we leave and help their enemy. And that's their plan. It says it right there. So if that's what they think is happening, they're going to plan against it. So if they say, if a war breaks out, read it. They're afraid if a war broke out, right, we would fight again. I mean, we'd be united against them, right? Help defeat them, and then we'd flee the country. How clear can it be, brothers and sisters? So if you think that means you're going to plan against it. So it'd be a time of war. So remember, the unity happens when the war breaks out. That's what it says right there, because that's the sign of Jonah. So that means as soon as it happens, they attack us. That's the sign of Jonah to them. The Master Muhammad knows that's a sign that our hearts are unified enough. Right? We have enough energy to bring us together to get us hell out of here. So you have two ideas about the same thing, sign of Jonah. One is destroy us, one is deliver us. So who's going to be successful with that? That means he had to make his move first. That's why war broke in heaven, and they attacked first to divert them from doing what they were going to do to us and get us the hell out of here. Hope you understand that, brothers and sisters. Sign of Jonah. Okay. Very important. I never really talked about it like this before, because now we're at the point. I mean, I really couldn't talk too much about it before earlier, because then they'll see, that'll make them see better than they were seeing before, and I can't tell our game plan, even though I'm telling some of it now, but I ain't telling enough for them to do anything that they could hurt it. We know Master Muhammad, I've been telling you, he has to move first. But this is an even worse situation. Why? It's an even worse situation because most of the war happens and they miss. See, if we're a target, they take a shot and they miss. See? Because Master Muhammad moves first. So because they do that, then you have to see what the repercussions are. What are the repercussions of all of that? Master Muhammad moves first. Master Muhammad moves first. He defeats them with angels. They totally cut off from the source of fuel that fuels their entire reality, oil. Now, only place they can get oil from, America has to fuel all of Europe, including America, when they already depleted their strategic petroleum reserve. That's why I never spoke about it much earlier until recently, because I would let these fools get rid of lower their oils even more. Because they might have, if I spoke earlier, they might have held on to it. It's too late now. They gave it up, and they ain't gonna get it back. They can't replenish it fast enough before what's about to happen is gonna happen. That's why certain things I didn't say before I said it, bro. Since I said it about oil, see? I ain't going into detail. And so now he gave up his strategic problem. SPR is because if there's a emergency, they have all this oil, they can fight a war and still supply the country. But now they diminished most of that. They can't do it. So if they have a war, they have to use oil for the war. That means there's no oil left for the country. That means no food, no anything. There's a famine. You won't be able to buy oil. Because when that war breaks out there and they're going to be totally cut off from the Middle East, all the oil, all of it, totally cut off from it. They tell in chapter 18, in Europe, the whole economy is going to totally collapse. Only supply oil they're going to have is Russia. And they're at war with Russia. And so they're going to have they're going to have a choice. Either starve and freeze to death, or make peace with Russia, which means they have to turn against the United States. That's what's going to happen. You already hear murmurs of it already. So now America is at war over in Europe. They just got defeated in the Middle East. They're also at war with China and mostly China, India to a certain extent, mostly China and North Korea, which you already see blooming. So now all their oil reserves have to be used for this war. That means there's no oil left. They plugged all their oil wells here. They also got rid of a strategic oil reserve. Now I was sitting back, yeah, go ahead. Right on. Go ahead, Mr. Biden. I wouldn't say anything because you hasten on your doom, didn't even know it. So now they're done. It's done now. I can talk about it now because they can't recover fast enough. They can't recover fast enough. Because we talking about very few days ago. Since I kind of gave some hints in the presentation I gave a few days ago, but I'm not going to even say what I was talking about because then I might give it away. Okay. But all we cut off. That's the lifeblood of this whole reality, whole economy. So it don't have to be a blight or something that destroys the food. You can't deliver the food to you. They can't get it to you. Famine like you've never seen in this country, totally cut off. And that's part of the that's and mostly part of the consequence of Holocaust, because the food you've been eating for the last 500 years is stolen food. Stolen food. Everything they got, they stole, cheated, or murdered to get. Everything. So the consequence of that, this is the form the consequence is taking. Remember, I said we give quality to consequence because we control the consequence of doing them as they've done to you. So we're controlling this consequence, the nature of it. See? So now all the food they've been stealing from everybody else, now they won't have it. They won't have any food. They'll be totally cut off, permanently. So what do you think that's going to be like here? They've been eating people because you're 3/5 human. I'm not going into detail about that today, brothers and sisters. All right? I mean, so much to talk about. And it's going to hit as soon as that war starts. And that's why we got to be snatched out of here. And then you got, see, I'm trying to put all the pieces together for you, brothers and sisters. First of all, they don't want your unity. That's they plan on attacking you. They've been using your creativity all the time. They still want your creativity. Because remember, Pharaoh was complex. I mean, he was,
Let them go, keep them. Let them go, keep them. Kill them. You get all these, kill them, let them go, keep them. See? Because you had all those different options. Got to keep them because of their creativity. Got to kill them, get rid of them if they unite and go against us. See? So we see that we understand their plans because you put all the pieces together. And then there's the idea about the tree of life. Because you got to put these pieces together, brothers and sisters. We're at a time of unity, but that's bad for them. They want to snuff that out. Also a time of great creativity, another level, which they want. Which is good for them. You see, that's confused. What do I do? Do I do this, do that? Do this, do that? See? If they leave, everything collapses. But if they stay, everything collapses because now you got a war because the unity will destroy the country. They leave, let them leave. Oh, can't let them stay. But yet we want their creativity. Because now this new age is coming in and they got it. We got to get it from them. See? They're confused. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? They got all these plans. Master Muhammad and Sunnah already made up their mind. We already know what we're going to do. We're not confused. But they are. And they have to make sure to do it just right. They have to somehow keep us here, but keep us divided. So they can get at creativity. If that's them, if they can do that. If they can't, they got to get rid of us, or they got to, if they can they got to keep us divided, keep us here, right? So they can grab hold of that creativity that's about to come in. They've been stealing. That's their ideal. But if they can't keep us divided, they got to get rid of us. See? But they still want that. But they can't let us go because we'll take that creativity with us. And then we'll still defeat them. That's why they want to lead the countries. They lead the country and now they take creativity with them. So now that's when come back down and defeat them. Well, just think about these things. That's why the only solution, simple solution, we got to get out here. That's why a tree of life had to be removed from them. Because if they got it, they'd be like gods, they'd be like us, and live forever. Never get rid of them. That's sign of Jonah, brothers and sisters, from two different perspectives. Excuse me. Hold on, brothers and sisters. One more situation I got to take care of. Then I'm not going to stay too much longer on this anyway. So I got one. Just a minute. I got one thing and I have to take care of it. Then I'll be right back with you, brothers and sisters. Just think about what I was just talking about. About the sign of Jonah. That's why it's so important. Oh, oops. Oh, sisters, Okay, is that it? Sure. Okay, okay, sure now, okay. See you. Okay, brothers and sisters, hopefully for this interruption. Okay, brothers and sisters, well, I'm just a little graphic here. Like a force field. And they're doing everything they can to try to penetrate that force field. Higher pressure. Lower pressure mines trying to disarm that higher pressure force field. Because in this phase now to talk about in that sense, right? And the compression phase where the universe is contracting, right? Pressure is supreme, higher pressure, and lower pressure cannot prevail against it. They have to use deception to get you to lower your force field. And they're using all their mind, but they cannot penetrate it unless they get you to drop it. Lower your force field. And that's what's going on right now. That's the nature of the war against us. That's the real nature of the war against us. See, they try and enter into the thought atmosphere. They can't get but so far. Far enough to like I said, the crying, this whispering and slinking devil. Lower your force field. Lower your force field. Men can get pregnant. Gender wars. Gender confusion. See, sexual inidentity, confusion. That's all aimed at you. Get you to lower your pressure. Like the fire angels, the same thing. It was all trying to get you to keep the pressure up. They're trying to get you to lower it. Below theirs. Because if your pressure is lower than theirs, then you have to submit to them. Lower pressure under contracting universe, right? Lower pressures have to submit to high pressures. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. And the other side of the universe is the other way around. We're to submit to lower pressure. That's why it's told to submit to the angels. Because there was lower pressure, we was told to submit to them. Because we were still in that phase of the universe expanding. So we was told to submit to them. And it just said, hell, I'm going to do that. I'm not doing that. But they forced, but what? Lower pressure was able to force them in submission, wasn't it? They've been in submission to lower pressure for the last 500 years. Right? They've had Sunnism in submission the last 500 years. Everybody in submission. Mostly us. We was told we submitted willingly. But now it's reversed. See? So they're doing everything they can. The only thing they can use, the only tool they got now is deception. Lower your force field, lower, whisper, lower your force field, lower your force field, lower, in all kinds of ways. All these, they got this woman shouting now, she probably all for black, man, we're all one race. We gotta start thinking about ourselves as all race and stuff. And it's like, she's trying to repent everything, all they done to us. That's why they're bullshit lying. Because now, we're all one. No, we ain't all one. That's the whispering. Because, they say we're all one now. We don't have to face union anymore. Just little whispers, and you keep going for it. And you lower your force field, next thing you know, you got 5 bullets in your head. You're in jail somewhere. You're being raped. See?
you're ODing somewhere. See? Because you got your lower that force field that you have, and I'm teaching you how to magnify that force field. Five fundamental principles of Islam teach you how to build that force field and keep it strong where they can't touch you at all. That's why it says, why do you think they can make a statement like, no hair on your head will be harmed? How can they make a statement like that? Because that's what we know they're talking about, pressure field. Once you have it built up, there's nothing they can touch you with. And those, and the so-called Nation of Islam, they don't need nation at this point. I don't say what fire can you waste time calling a nation. They will have to understand this knowledge to get tribulation. And that's part of the reason why they go in tribulation, so they have this knowledge. That's part of the reason why they go to tribulation. So they will have this, so it'll be firmly ingrained in their mind, so they experience it. Because sometimes some people don't see, like say, if you don't see it, you don't believe it. They have to experience it. They have to go through it and go to the fire and not get burnt to realize that they can walk through the fire and not burn. You tell a person, man, you can walk that fire, can't burn. They stand on the sideline. They ain't gonna believe you. You say, man, take this, you drink this stuff here, and you can walk through that fire and it won't burn you. Oh man, you crazy? So what you have to do is you have to force down their throat and throw them in the fire. They say, hey man, he ain't burning me, because you won't get them to do it. I mean, they have a lot of faith in you to do it on their own. Man, you tell me to jump in that fire, don't drink this, man, you out of your mind, you do it. But this, they have to, this is the angel wisdom. So you have to come up above what they're getting out of the Quran, is bringing them up to the next level. They have to get out what they get from Elijah, they get out what they get from the Quran, they go to the next level, the mathematics. And that's what five fundamental principles of Islam, five fundamental mathematical principles of Islam is all about, the five basic mathematical principles. And that's what they're going to have to apply. If they don't apply it, they ain't going to make it through tribulation. If they apply it, and they come out and say, damn, that did work. Because they're going to have to get it, because they're going to have to penetrate their heart, get to their mind. They have to experience it. See, 140,000 going to get it. But the Levites and the rest of the Levite people have to get it by heart. They have to experience it, because they can't. They say, man, that's impossible. That can't work. And when they go to tribulation and find out, they can go through it and not be burnt. That's the whole thing about Daniel in the furnace. They said, damn, that works. And then they got it. That's one of the reasons why they got to tribulation. Another reason why, because they have to come to the conclusion that these devils are really devils. Because we don't have to deal with them for the next 6,000 years. We have them locked up. We can't have anybody show pity, mercy on them. And when they see what they did, those people do this, during that tribulation, anybody's going to come out there saying, oh man, I feel sorry for them. It's not going to be that anymore. See? We don't have no bleeding hearts. Oh man, they've been in hell, they've been so long. No. Nobody's going to think that way anymore, because we have to get that out of it, because otherwise then we're going to be fighting each other. Oh man, y'all treat him so bad. We don't want to hear all that. See, because next thing you know, they'll be out of there and raising hell for the next 6,000 years. We don't want that. That's why a lot of Muhammad gave that message about when we first put up in the cage 4,000 years ago, 6,000 years ago, right? 2,000. It says the sisters in the Middle East, they felt sorry for the babies, and they saved the babies, hid the babies, and so now you got a white Middle East all messed up over there. We're gonna have that, and if those that go to tribulation, those that deliver, they ain't gonna have that problem. But those that go to tribulation, they will have to go through there, because they still some bleeding hearts. Oh man, they so man. Oh man, we should forgive them, man. No, when you go and see what they do, and what they're gonna be doing to you. They can be trying to do you and everything else. When you see that close up, you ain't gonna have that problem anymore. That's another reason why you go to tribulation. It's like an incubator, because you wasn't ready. Give you a second chance. So that's what this is. They're taking and doing everything they can to penetrate that force field. Those you studying angel and starting to get this. You should know what I'm talking about. They're doing it. They're going, oh man, come on, man. All kinds of movies and everything else. Now they got a movie devotion. Why should we be devoted to them? Why should we be devoted to them? Why should we be devotion? Now why they call it devotion? Why would they call it devotion? Black folks devoted to their master devils who've been destroying them and killing them and destroying their ancestors, but they call the movie devotion. And there was one Black Panther too, right? Now it ain't for those Black Panthers, but the point is, they was a symbol of some kind of rebellion. But now it's Black Panthers is a good thing, because the Black Panthers are for the devils. They want to give all the talk now. They didn't want to give you a damn thing. They killed anybody who was trying to help you, but they wanted to give everything to the devils. There you go. And who's filling the theaters with that crap? Negro butts. And then realize the whole movie's all against them. Those so-called, where they come from, where that country they supposed came from, right? Someplace. They didn't want to have anything to do with you. They had the power to save you from slavery. They didn't want to do it. And then anybody that came over and tried to give you that power, they killed them. And that's the movie you for? And then they want to give all the technology to the evil, the devils. And they want to give you an apartment building, a complex at the end. Oh man. Anaconda, or what do they call it? And you got Farrakhan Harold in the movie, Anaconda, whatever they call the place. And all the sisters, they didn't want to see your hair. So one sister that had any hair, the rest of them all hair cut off or covered. That movie is against you 100%, but a lot of movies they make against you and you love them. That's what a Negro butt's supposed to do. That's how I know it's got your program. You're supposed to love everything. You're supposed to be self-destructive. Remember, that's the nature of the man in Mark. He was self-destructive. They had him self-destructive, and demons was the main ones they was using to do it. He was destroying. He was beating himself up. He used power against himself, even though he had the power to be free, because there's nobody could hold him. No chains could hold him, anything. But yet still, he was beating himself up. While the demons played on, hey, go on, yeah, Farrakhan, yeah, man. Because you ain't going nowhere, you standing right here, man. You see Abraham, yeah, but you deserve what you got. Oh, man, ooh. And he's a devil. His father's a devil. He's talking to the Jews. His father's a Jew. He said it. The white Portuguese Jews. He said he loved the Jews when he was growing up. He was involved in all that stuff. That's why I say Satan will be casting out Satan. So he said he casting out Satan, but they told you who will be casting out Satan, don't they? I mean, I understand the demons, they have no choice. But you told the idiots to tell you who will be casting out Satan? Satan. I don't know how much clearer you need to make it, brothers and sisters, but you got the tribulation to figure it out. So I'm gonna go through this rather quickly because I didn't mean to go as far as as far as I did. Got to talk about a lot. So this is a rehash anyway. Well, I already talked about pressure. I said the only weapon that lower pressure has in this phase of our creation, the contraction phase, is deception. Because lower pressure cannot defeat high pressure. When the universe contracts, it cannot do it. So anything that gets you lower your pressure. Mismanage your energy. There's much I want to talk about Vulcans and it's a whole nother subject altogether, brothers and sisters. But I'm not going to do it today. I'm trying to figure out what's more important to talk about. That's more urgent to what's going on right now. Because right now, what you need, right, brothers and sisters, first of all, right, you need to get your force field up. Stop this self-energy deprivation. Because what's about to hit you, you ain't going to make it. Okay? That's one thing. You got to keep your eyes open. Okay? So you be in the Lamb's Book of Life and don't stop this Christian BS about Jesus. Okay, go on with that. You're going to have to end up in tribulation. And those who stuck over there with Farrakhan, Vision of People, that's getting ready to go down. He's going down. He's going down in a minute. But you're going down with him. So we'll talk about that already. So let's move on to the next subject here, brothers and sisters. Now I'm going to talk about this because I've talked about it in detail. But when you understand the story of Adam and Eve, think about that. That gets back into talking about the tree of life, this knowledge that they want to hold on to, that we can't let them have. Because remember, this is about knowledge. The tree of knowledge of good and evil. That's 360 degrees. Knowledge. And so if they leave it alone, that means they was ignorant. If the tree had the knowledge and they didn't eat it, have it, they tell you they were ignorant people. Europeans are ignorant people. They were staying in caves for 2,000 years, and they was in rocky for 1,000 years. They didn't have soap. They didn't take a bath, anything. They lived in caves. They're not intelligent people. They're trying to. They got intelligent after they got over here and stole our knowledge. For 5,000 years, there was horse and buggy people. All of a sudden, bow, all this technology after they get us, hold of us. Because we're the tree of knowledge of good and evil. See? The demons, they're the Christians. And the saints, the wheat, that's the, right? But still they have the knowledge. They don't have anything in knowledge at all. So when they got it, they had knowledge, and once they got it, then they realized they was naked. That means they was ignorant. That means naked. They didn't even know they was naked. That's how ignorant they were. Now, if you don't know you're naked, that means, well, you see them walking around now. They walk around with a little. It takes a little black paint spread between their legs and put a string up their ass. They go, hey man, I'm hot. Yeah, you hot, all right. You HIV hot. See? You syphilis hot. You herpes hot. Monkeypox hot. You hot. And then you definitely go to mess your ass, it'll get burnt. I'm hot. Spread a little black paint on there between the legs and put a string up their ass. And I'm like, hey, I'm hot. And you got these little hounds walking, sniffing. I want some of that. Hope you get some. You better have some asbestos condoms on. I don't think that's going to work. It's stupid. But that shows you. It's telling you what they are. They never even really naked. Ignorant they are. And they went after it. I'm not going into all the details, right? I explained it previously. But then they said the tree of life had removed from them. Because if they got that, they'd be like gods like us and live forever. That's what I'm talking about. We had to be removed. That's what they're afraid of. Because we the source of all this technology and everything else. You keep asking yourself, it's so obvious, brothers and sisters. If just being Caucasian makes you so wise and technologically and powerful and everything, how come Germany, which is mostly Caucasian, or France, how come they never come with any of this stuff? Show me what invention they came up with. Show me one. They even in China and no place else. All innovation from music, right, to atomic bombs, right, to computers, all came out of here. Because we're here. They don't come out any place else. And they don't want to tell you, they don't want you to know that. That's why it's a story of Adam and Eve about us. And now we're about to come up with new music and new technology. Every 50 years, you go back and track it. Every 50 years, it seems like it's a pattern. Every 50 years, a quantum leap in technology, a quantum leap in the whole situation, music and everything else. From blues to jazz to Motown. And now what? Something about to happen now. And our music is dominating the world. Wake up, brothers and sisters. Hey. That's what's going on. And so that's why the tree of life, we get this next level, look how powerful they are right now. They got powerful because we're here. Not just because our labor, but our minds. And now when we next, we can't let them have that. That's why the tree of life had to move quick. That's why it says Master Muhammad had to come and deliver those in the Lamb's Book of Life right out. Not before the time of unprecedented trouble, not after. During, that means you're going to be right in it. So I think I said enough for that. Let's move on, brothers and sisters. So that's the story. I was going to go to this in more detail, but I'm not. I talk a lot more than I expected. My voice is like so. But I have a presentation out there. I'm going to go a little more detail this maybe a couple more days. Some things I haven't mentioned, talked to you about before. And this is that true life had to be moved out of their reach. So they got that. Okay. And we talk about the sign of Jonah. Both look for that sign. That sign's about to take place. Because when Nation of Islam, right, the war takes place, they get rid of Farrakhan. That's repent. They repent of him. Suleiman is setting. It's right there. When thrones are cast down, read Daniel. Whose thrones are being cast down? Their thrones are being cast down. And the ancient day did set. Hair like lamb's wool. Do Master Prophet have hair like lamb's wool? Do Farrakhan have hair like lamb's wool? And what he does, he takes a kingdom and give it to Master Prophet Muhammad, who's coming on the clouds and is real. It's right there, brothers and sisters. But thrones will be cast down first. Same story. I'm not going to, I talked about this, so I'm not going to go into any detail here. But I said we talked about it before. And I think we're going to wind this up. Okay, Lord of Dawn. Master Muhammad is Lord of Dawn. Because for 6,000 years, Dr. Yakub was the Lord of the winter. The worst time in our history. Right? We went to the Holocaust and everything else. So now, the dawn started in the 1860s. Master Muhammad was conceived in born in 1877, right after that. And so now we're in the springtime, and when spring comes, you win. If your whole reality is based on winter, icicles and ice weapons and snowball and kind of stuff, right? I don't care how big your fort. You have a fortress as big as a mountain. The ice could be a 5-yard stick, but when spring comes, it melts. So they're so formidable now. America's so formidable. Using all that technology and everything, so formidable. And now it's all collapsing because it's spring and Master Muhammad's in charge. Master Muhammad's in charge now. He has the sun with him that's shedding the light. That's why Suleiman's cast of the sun, he's the one with the angel, right, is melting the ice. And then ass kicked on 2 levels, technical and spatial. Analytical and spatial. So I'm going to talk on this and then we're going to let go, brothers and sisters. Now I talk about this. See, we talk about 6,000 years, but where was we after in the 6,000 years? We was at the bottom. That means it's a loop. Because if it was only 6,000 years to go through this, that means at this 6,000 years we'd be at the top again. We wouldn't have been at the worst case. We the worst situation, 1860s. That means that they had to be the worst part of the 6,000 year period where we suffered the most. That means that would be the point where it turns up, the inflection point. That's what we call inflection point, when it, right? So the inflection point had to be this. That's when we broke out, Chinese slavery started rising up at. And then came Master Muhammad came, nobody did Drew Ali, Marcus Garvey, so forth, and it started moving, getting stronger and stronger and stronger. There had to be an inflection point. But if we was down at 6,000 years, we was at the bottom, that makes 6,000 years to get back to where we were. Because it was all gold 6,000 years ago. It was all gold. But now, an inflection point down there, we was all messed up. We were not even gold. We was at gold, we was at top. But now we was at the bottom and wasn't even gold anymore. Right? Demons, all mixed up and everything. On half of us, not even half of us, 1/3 of us is even, we're still original. 100%. See? And that's why there's so injury, because we was trying to maintain that originality so we wouldn't lose it. Otherwise that seed would be lost forever. So we made it, that's why we're getting reward. So we inherit the kingdom. We're not coming back out. If we stayed all gold, then we suffered as we went in reverse, but we still suffer, right, as we last 6,000 years. So we had taken, we come with a new format. That's why we come with a made God. A lot of Muhammad said a body had to be prepared. That's Master Muhammad, who will not suffer any deprivation. So he can rule, and he'll rule for 6,000 years. His seat will rule for 6,000 years until we get back to on top again. But during that time, we cannot be all gold, because we'd be suffering just like we did going into it. So therefore, we have to come up with a new Jerusalem that will not suffer any deprivation. This will not be made all gold. We made of gold, iron and silver. That's why the ark looks like that. And it's rising up. And after 6,000 years, right, it'll be on top again. And 6,000 years from now, right, what would that be? If we're 16,000 years in, that's 22,000, right? So that's almost the end of this whole 24,000 year cycle. And then the king will return back over to Suleiman's seed. It'll be all gold again. And then we start the process of bringing all creation back into us. Because the pressure increasing, we cannot maintain that form either. Until we're back like we were originally 72 trillion years ago. I hope you understand that, brothers and sisters. If you see the devils down there, I have them down there, but they're on in fire. They're on the bottom. They can still last for 6,000 years, but since if we kept it the gold, they would still rule. If we kept it all gold, they would still rule for the next 6,000 years. But since we came, that was Suleiman's. Remember, Suleiman's supposed to be a wise man in history. He's the one who said, if we come with that format, then we can keep them under submission, and we can rule for the next 6,000 years until we get back to all gold again. And we give the kingdom over to Master Muhammad, made God, who's faithful and true, as it's told in chapter 19. But he's cold like iron. See, y'all think he gonna come with flower child, like you tell you, oh geez, he can come forgive everybody. No, that's not the image that Isaac Muhammad gave. And you better read those lessons. He's right and just, but he's firm like iron. So he ruled nations with a rod of iron, not with pussy willow branches. He ruled nations with a rod of iron. So y'all like to think he gonna come back and, oh man, I'm glad y'all made it, man. I'm glad, see y'all. That's what you think of me? He come in and he's not gonna be the judge. He's judging the nations, but Suleiman is judging you. See? And he may be gold, right? But he got a heart of iron. To his enemies, he says like a lion and a lamb. He got two personalities. See? But towards the sisters, he's a lamb. He just sheep to the sisters. Sisters, you don't have nothing to worry about. I keep telling you. Don't you worry about a thing. With that boy said, Stevie, don't you worry about a thing. Nothing. Unless you just don't want to go home. Because we ain't going to harm you. I'm not going to let anybody harm you. I know what you went through. See? Well, I mean, I can't really know totally, right? I don't know anything, but I understand enough. So you sisters, don't you worry about a thing. Nothing. See? But the rest of y'all, says he's like a lion and a lamb. He's like a lamb to his people. He's a sheep to his sisters. But he's a lion to everybody else. The lion from the tribe of Judah. And two lions going to fit the final battle between two lions. The lion from the seed Levi and the lion from the tribe of Judah. So two lions. As the final battle, you don't know about the war of the latter days. Gog. See, Gog ain't Russia. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. And the devil's down the bottom, they're in fire, they're in hell. Go put them way up far up in Europe, way up there. Lock them up. The warden's going to be those people out and I can tell you now. I wouldn't tell you before. I'll tell you now. Those Palestinians y'all been kicking their ass for. Oh, y'all made them. Y'all create your wardens. They ain't have no mercy on you. They said you'd be strong guards around hell so you can't get out. And you don't have no friends up in there because you're going to eat refuge, garbage. You'll be hungry all the time, but you have a lot of energy. Your sex drive will never be satisfied, but you ain't have no friends, you ain't have no mates. If you're chasing the females, she'll be running from you because you know if they catch you, you're going to copy it, but you're going to eat them at the same time. That's the hell you got for what you did to us. See, because you had 6 more thousand years of history. And we could have set you up. If you're supposed to be a caretaker, not an ass kicker of us. And so now the hard cost, you're paying the price. You're paying the price of what you're about to go through, and you lost power for the next 6,000 years. We have none at all. But you'll be here. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. I'm going to leave it there. Hope I covered a lot of stuff I want to cover. So, I hope you understand, brothers and sisters. I'm going to leave it there. I think that's it. Let me make sure here. Yep, that's it. Assalamu alaikum.